Okay, so yeah, in this guide, I want to talk about something I call early game focus firing. You also hear people on the internet call it the steamy nuke. Yeah, so it's just, in case you ever wonder about it. So here's the idea. What is the best one-star early game board? And here are the rules I'm gonna set for this question. You can only put in 3 units. You can only use 1 cost and 2 cost units. You can only use 1-star units, and there's no item allowed. And if you want to take some time to think about it yourself, this would be a good time to pause and maybe come up with a board. Okay, cool. So did you come up with a board something to like this? Because if you did, you would be wrong. So while these two boards, of course, are really, really strong, they're missing the key points of the question. So why the best early game board doesn't always mean the strongest early game board. The idea is that you have all 1-star units, so you know that you're probably not going to win most of the fights. Your primary goal is to kill as many units as possible in order to save HP. So by playing the strongest 1-star board, you might also ruin your own loss streak. For example, even if you play against someone else who is low rolling really hard, it might just make you end up going loss, win, loss, loss, loss. And that situation is a lot worse than going full loss streak. So I will give you some motivations on what makes strong focus firing on board. Like I said, I don't really like to tell you these 3 units are the units you should play every game, because I like to maybe teach the theory behind it. Line them up, knock them down. So if you look on the right, I have an example. This board has 0 synergies, yet I consider it a good early game board. You have high single DPS units in Ziggs. You line up your units against one side of the wall or the other side of the wall, so they all focus down 1 unit at a time. And you have 1 frontline unit. What's going to happen is that the 2 Ziggs will DPS down the 1 unit. Gragas will tank as much damage as he can and then attack the unit. And what most likely is going to happen is that these 3 units will kill 1 enemy unit, and you've done your job. Focus fire strategy 2. Use assassins and warwick to target down squishy backlines. So the idea is that you're playing around Kha'Zix and warwick in this case. You use the assassin to jump down to the backline and start DPSing down. Meanwhile, your Gragas tanks and does a little bit of damage to the frontliner. You want to have your warwick ult later into the fight. This way, warwick will target the lowest percent HP unit. Hopefully, it's not the tanky frontliner, but hopefully warwick jumps to the backline of the Kha'Zix attacking. Now, Kha'Zix and warwick both finish off the backliner, giving you a higher chance to kill it. Now, something like an all-assassin board will work as well. So it doesn't have to be Kha'Zix or warwick Gragas, but essentially the idea is that you're using Kha'Zix and warwick to target down 1 unit. And right now, in the current meta, this is probably the best early game board right now. So try to have this board every game that you low roll start. But obviously, metas can change, and units, 1-cost units can be buffed or nerfed. So mostly use this as like a guiding principle. And then here's some common pitfalls. Avoid AoE units. AoE units tend to either win the fight out, or like completely win the fight, or to kill 0 units. So a board like this would be incredibly strong 2-star because Lissandra and Soraka would be able to AoE and kill all the units on the enemy board. But at 1-star, you'll mostly deal like 50% of all the units' HP, and you'll actually kill 0 units. And then the second common pitfall is to be considerate when you're thinking about the following units. So the first one is the units that do damage over time, such as Brand. If you don't have a strong frontline, what's going to happen is that Brand's going to do a little bit of damage to every single unit and not going to kill any unit because his spell takes a lot of time to actually get the full damage off. So let's just say if the fight ends in like 10 seconds, Brand is actually doing very little damage. And he's not able to actually finish off anyone. The second pitfall is to avoid units that do backline damage, unless you can complement that. So, like for example, Poppy's spell might as well be wasted, even though it does a lot of damage because it's hitting a backliner. That backliner is mostly not gonna die because then that damage is mostly wasted. The only way for that backline damage to matter is if you have something like an assassin, for it to jump to the backline, have Poppy help out the assassin DPS down the unit. Now I've listed all the some of the other common units that do backline damage that I usually avoid, such as Poppy, Lissandra, Syndra, Soraka, Thresh, and Zyra. Yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say about this topic. But yeah, I hope you guys find it helpful, and try to implement this every single early game that you low roll.